It appears that Arsenal's transfer business, where outgoings concerned, people are ramping up as we get towards Friday's deadline. As you would see in the title, and I'm sure you would have seen online, allegedly and apparently, Aaron Ramsdale was close to signing for Southampton as they've agreed a £25 million deal, people. That being said, Partey's sale date allegedly has been revealed, and there's still a lot of isms and schisms where our football club's concerned. I'm pretty sure I speak for every Arsenal fan listening to this in that, the only news we really want to hear, obviously, we know we need to sell players, and I'm not knocking the club, but get a bit nervous in relation to an inside forward or a winger now. Like, I thought it was an assurance per se that we would have got one by now. It's looking a bit scary. Gonna have to pull a serious rabbit out of the hat in the next 24 to 48 hours, man. But enough of that. If I share my screen with you lot, as David Ornstein has said, Southgate, apologies, people. I just came from Southgate. Southampton agreed 25 million deal to sign Arsenal's Aaron Ramsdale, says David Ornstein. Southampton have reached an agreement with Arsenal for the permanent transfer of goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale for a fee of 25 million. The next step is for the 26-year-old to undergo a medical with the club before completing his move. As you lot know, Arsenal will now advance their efforts to sign in 23-year-old Espanyol goalkeeper Juan, forgive me for mispronunciations, Garcia. I don't want to disrespect Aaron Ramsdale. I think we're all clear, people, that he's falling down the pecking order. Raya is the first choice, and both parties look set to depart. Likewise, obviously, Southampton are moving in the transfer market for a goalkeeper for their own reasons. We all know where Aaron Ramsdale's concerned. 1 minute it was Ajax, then Bournemouth, then, this club and that club. Now we're finally getting towards a conclusion. Don't forget to let me know you lot's thoughts, people. He was linked with Bournemouth. They've gone for Kepa. Wolves, that didn't progress anywhere. Keeping up that, people. Now, many of you, rightly so, and myself included, will look at it and say 25 million. What's going on there? For me personally, again, I'm not a transfer man. I'm not a finance man. I think there's a great debate to be said about Arsenal's transfer dealings in particular. You could argue you have to pay the going rate, but 65 million for Kai Havertz, to be devil's advocate with you guys. Simultaneously, we know Arsenal have a reputation of not being tough negotiators, even though Eddie Nketiah's potential transfer to Crystal Palace looks at such. And I would say, on the topic of Aaron Ramsdale, now, if you're trying to buy him, clearly he's on big wages. He's second choice at Arsenal Football Club. He probably is pushing for a move more than anything. Again, from a business point of view, Arsenal have an asset sitting on the bench. Now, from a footballing point of view, of course, Raya and Aaron Ramsdale fighting for the number one spot. It's all great. But from an asset point of view, we're losing things. But playing devil's advocate, yeah. And I think the biggest testament I can personally give to Aaron Ramsdale, people, would actually be, look at the vein he's leaving, considering when we bought him, because the chat in the pubs and whatnot was he's got back-to-back relegations. Is he good enough? Blah blah blah. And I think when you look at Ramsdale's first video on Arsenal.com, he kind of speaks on that. But look at how we're probably talking about him now, considering back-to-back relegations on his CV. I'm not being funny, but he's played for Arsenal Football Club. He's been capped by the country. There was a point, obviously Pickford does all right for England. He looked like he might potentially take his spot. PFA nominee and all of that. Yes, we've gone to another level defensively with, what we've been doing in the last 2 seasons in particular. But Aaron Ramsdale was really part of that first kind of improvements defensively. And had Raya not been available, which we can't get into, would Ramsdale still be here excelling and doing what he's doing? In short, is he worth less money than when we bought him for? Now, I'm sure the deal is probably tailored in a great way that Arsenal stand to make slightly more than 25 million in total. But for what it's worth, Southampton are paying 18 million initially up front. It could rise to 25 million. It says here by James Baines, though that is a lower fee than Arsenal paid in 2021, the sale will represent a significant profit on the books, potentially 8 figures. Now, I don't want to talk about finances because it's above me, but again, it is important to, I guess, have a positive balance sheet. And clearly, to be fair to Stan Kroenke and whatnot, I would sit there and say maybe this summer Arsenal need to do better in terms of sales, which, depending on where you look at it and certain things people say, some make it look more positive than others, but truthfully, we don't know. But yeah, it looks like Ramsdale's keeping it moving. Romano's also said that people and Arsenal are now obviously going to press ahead, you'd imagine, for Garcia from Espanyol, who I've done a tactical video, check that out. And there has been some rumors that we've got a verbal agreement on personal terms with him. Of course, we need to reach a negotiation sort of, thing with his current employers, because at the end of the day, he's got a release clause and we're getting late to the window. They're going to have to find a replacement. Will they negotiate a fee, or will they say, which is the case with players in Spain, activate his release clause. Some rumors say 20 all the way to 30 million, or forget about it. So we'll have to see what happens there, people. Ramsdale, as we've just obviously discussed, Arsenal will probably have a sell-on clause. He will sign his Southampton contract tomorrow and also undergo his medical. And yeah, they'll pay 18 million up front. We was also linked today. Check out the video I did earlier, people, in the theme of goalies. Arsenal exploring a deal to sign Wigan Athletic goalkeeper Sam Tickle, 22 years of age. The club have been seeking a goalkeeper with homegrown status to join the first team, with Tickle along with Wolves' Dan Bentley now under consideration. So there you have that. Romano has also said Nketiah has completed the second part of medical tests at Crystal Palace. Palace and Arsenal are working on documents and formal steps for 25 million plus 5 million add-ons. Now, again, I know no two situations are the same and whatnot, but it just feels to a little bit for me in that, you know, Eddie's done very well to get 30 million if all metrics are hit for Eddie Nketiah, for the obvious reasons, for the sake of what will happen with Marseille, to obviously Eddie turning down in hindsight the Forest move. But it feels like for every one of that, you've still made less on Ramsdale. Like, I hear it. I know it probably was just about the fair fee, but I don't think Ramsdale's worth less than the 30 million we've paid for him. If anything, you know, it should sum up how much we've progressed as a club. But again, for Ramsdale, I'm not gonna lie, people being a bit cynical in relation to Aaron Ramsdale. Set pieces. We know we've seen Ramsdale at his best, we've seen him at his worst. The 2 games against Southampton, especially the one at St. Mary's, make sure he doesn't have the game of his life. But we wish him all the best, man, if we keep it honest. Con Marble Halls, you know, one of the ITKs online, I don't endorse or not endorse them. I don't know, and I mean no shade. But apparently in relation to Eddie Nketiah, and his medical is signed and done, Eddie Nketiah joins Palace on a permanent deal. AC Milan showed late interest, but the player preferred to stay in London. Did AC Milan really show interest? They didn't get Joshua Zerski. I don't know where they are with Tammy Abraham. Zlatan Ibrahimovic, who I believe is a director or something, they said they're looking that forward. And maybe they were interested to assess their options, but who knows, people. We all know Fabio Vieira rejoined Porto on a season-long loan. Earlier today, Fulham were also linked with Reece Nelson. Could he follow out of the exit door, in which it looks like with Eddie and we've seen with Smith Rowe? I wonder if Tierney will survive this window. Apparently, the transfer date of when we'll sell Thomas Partey has been revealed, people, which he probably does move on next season, but who knows, really. Again, I think this is a bit of a clickbait because, again, it basically just says Arsenal will not offer Partey a new contract. The veteran midfielder's current deal is up next summer and he's expected to depart in 2025. So, again, I don't think Partey or Jorginho will be offered new deals. But you can't rule out both staying, which I don't think needs to happen. You can't rule out both leaving, and you can't rule out one of them staying. It more likely for me to be Jorginho, really, because you can see him being part of the coaching staff. Thomas Partey, I think the club have looked to move you on for a while, but we'll have to see where that's concerned. I don't think any Arsenal fan is interested with Benjamin White and England, but unfortunately, Benjamin White's England exile is set to continue as Lee Carsley apparently has no plans to select him, which, from a selfish Arsenal fan's point of view, Benjamin White plays all the time for us. He's able to rest his legs. As an Arsenal fan, where I removed that, and I think, you know, there's no higher honour than playing for your country. And I think Benjamin White's been one of the best right backs in the Premier League. Another one who, carrying on the theme of what you said with Ramsdale, when they signed for the club, there was a lot said, especially after that Brentford game. I think he deserves to be there. And it would have been nice, you know, it would be nice to have seen Benjamin White with the other England boys during the Euros. But again, that doesn't look like it's going to be a thing, folks. So that appears to be everything. Or, in fact, before we get out of here, an unknown Premier League club have explored the conditions of a deal for Kingsley Coleman. Now, with the Premier League, you know, in the early 2000s, it probably would have only been the top 4, if that. It could be anyone. Could it be Arsenal because we need an inside forward? I don't know. One thing I do know is Edu and Mikel Arteta are probably going to have to pull a rabbit out the hat. But with that being said, people, let me know your thoughts on Aaron Ramsdale's not only transfer, but the fee and all the other things we've gone over. If there's any other emerging news and things, you know, you get live streams and vids from myself. But on that note, I'm going to love and leave you lot. Take care. Stay blessed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace.